Personal Finance.
Personal Finance brought to you by Standard Bank. Wealth and Investment. Standard Bank moving forward. Warren Ingram, personal finance expert. What have you got in your hand, Warren Ingram?
You know, Bruce, I really felt bad about taking you down in that newspaper throwing competition. So I couldn't figure out what to get you. The man who's got everything. What do I get you, like, as a sort of a...
Can I give you a list?
Compensatory present. So I decided to get you...
You got me pants.
A pair of Berkey boxes.
Berkey boxes?
So these are the boxes that come from Berkshire Hathaway.
Hand them over.
All their companies and all their brands.
Nice.
So I hope you sleep well.
Thank you. So Forest River is one of their investments. Jordan's Furniture. Is that the shop in Omaha?
No, that's Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Okay, I'm yet to find that on this. H.H. Brown, Acme Brick. Oh, there actually is an Acme company. I thought there was a creation.
Quite a few Acmes, yeah.
I thought there was
so there's Nebraska. You just put your finger past it there, and then there's Brooks, the sports label.
This is Brooks. I'm gonna try them on.
Brooks is Brooks.
Yes, absolutely. Berkshire Hathaway Brooks. Oh. All right, I'll wear them on my head. I'm wearing my pants on my head, and Berkshire Hathaway pants. They're a fashion statement. I feel very sure.
I should have got you a cap.
I feel very spoiled. I wanted a cap, but you got me pants. So thank you, Warren Ingram. You are fresh back. You've spoken to Ray. You've spoken to John. You've spoken to Kino. All about what's happened to Berkshire Hathaway. Let's talk about Warren Buffett and his attitude to technology. He's regarded as something of a Luddite. He survived the 1999-2000 tech bubble meltdown because he said, I'm not investing in these startups and things. I don't understand them. I don't know what they do. I'm staying clear. And he's got a reputation then of being a bit of a Luddite.
Yeah, which is possibly fair. I mean, the man only learned to use computers because he ran out of bridge partners in Omaha, and so if he wanted to play bridge at a competitive level, he had to get onto the internet and play bridge with especially Bill Gates and a couple of other people. But he couldn't play and fly to see them every week. So now they play by a computer. So that's the nature of the man. He really doesn't like getting emails, etc. He works on paper. He loves newspapers and the like, but all of a sudden you go and have a look at his holdings and you see that he owns somewhere around 8% of IBM.
Now, but IBM is a hardware provider. I mean, they're like the rail. He loves trains and railroad tracks, so they're like the railroad tracks of tech. I can understand why he would buy IBM.
And I think that's his point now. Is he it's a business that he can suddenly forecast. He can suddenly understand the profit that it's making.
You make a computer. It costs you this much to assemble the computer, to distribute it, and to provide it. This much to advertise it. Here is a profit margin. Ching, you sell one of those, and I've made $10.
And I think it's got a long history of good profits, and it's got a long history of paying nice dividends. It sits on a lot of cash, so it starts to look more and more like a utility. In other words, an energy company or a railway, etc., and a lot less like a fast-moving tech company. I think it's unfair to IBM to say that it's not a really advanced. Tech company, but it's not just a software business. I think that's really the point.
And one of the great ironies, of course, of Warren Buffett and his best chum Bill Gates is Warren Buffett owns how much of Microsoft? Nothing in Microsoft.
Exactly zero. Yeah. Exactly zero. And I mean, it must be frustrating for someone like Bill, because Bill owns quite a bit of Berkshire. I mean, he's a really significant shareholder, and he's a director. And by the way, Buffett doesn't pay his directors anything. They do this for the love of their own shares that they have in Berkshire.
And prestige. I'm a director of Berkshire Hathaway. or Berkshire Hathaway, sorry.
So that's interesting because if you're a attention seeker, you can't talk about your being a director there. It's not. If you're a publicity hound, the likelihood of you getting onto that board, even if you're a big name, is very small. So I mean, you'll just see. I mean, it's amazing to watch Bill Gates at that AGM. He's trying to be anonymous. So he does the newspaper toss, but for the rest, he sits in that front row and
quietly minds his own business.
Quietly does his thing and moves on. I mean, it's incredible. And I mean that's a person surely a lot of people want to talk to.
Yeah, completely. But here's Warren Buffett, and you sat through his 5-hour presentation, and there were lots of downloads. For the first time, it was streamed because Warren Buffett, as you told us before you left, he'd had a bit of he was cross with the service providers in Omaha, Nebraska, who were pushing up hotel prices and accommodation prices and everything.
Airlines,
And airlines. So he said, "Fine, we'll grant access."
And interesting there. Sorry, I know I'm jumping in, but interesting, telling people to use Airbnb.
Yes, and again, tech. So he's coming around to it, and he's talking a lot more, correct me if I'm wrong, about Amazon. as well.
So, I mean, I must tell you, I nearly fell off my chair when he started talking about Amazon, and that was quite scary because I was at the front row of a second-story balcony, and you suddenly realize that the man thinks incredibly deeply about what will move business in a direction. So he doesn't own Amazon, but what he has identified is that I mean, we're not even talking about retail anymore because it's very obvious that it's changed the face of retail. I mean, you can see that the impact of Amazon and other online retailers right around the world, they really have changed that whole industry completely. But he starts to talk about other sectors. For example, they own a very big insurance company and called Geico, and Geico.
I'm looking for it on my pants.
And Geico, it must be there. Geico's got the most fantastic ad campaign, and it's very, very similar to our sort of direct insurers that we've got in South Africa. The difference is Geico, for a very long time, did business by phone. And right through when the sort of the tech boom had already taken off, people would get their insurance by Bruce is still looking for his Geico.
I'm looking
logo.
for Geico on my pants. Yes.
So he
it's very hard when you're wearing them. Just turning round. Oh, no, not there either. I don't see Geico.
So if you look at what they were doing with Geico, he suddenly they figured out in that business that they need to they need to move this online or this telephone business by doing insurance by phone. Suddenly that's actually not so efficient anymore. Now it's a massive online business. So suddenly financial services is a big one.
But what he's done and why people regard Warren Buffett as a genius is he's allowed the noise to die down. He's allowed other people to lose billions of dollars, and he's allowed the useful, sustainable technologies, the railways, the road infrastructure of the internet to bed down.
Yeah.
And so the future of business is clearly online, and clearly there is a distribution mechanism through Amazon. There are ways of getting interactions with customers. Those are tried, tested, well established, and in many cases already profitable. That's a business model, not pie in the sky.
Exactly, and also then he's starting to think through the businesses that will be affected in a bad way, in a negative way by this. And so one of the comments that he made, and it was sort of a throwaway, but makes you stop and think. And he said, we don't own REITs within Berkshire Hathaway. REITs would be real estate investment trusts, so typically listed property companies. Mm-hmm. So, but if we did, and we owned ones that had a lot of shopping centres, his comment was, I'd be thinking very carefully about that.
Okay, because he looks at the future of shopping centres, and unless they evolve very dramatically, not so much here. I mean, online retail is like 1% of our total retail sales in South Africa. Shopping centre trips are still entertainment in South Africa, but less so in other parts of the world.
And isn't that really the lesson? Is that maybe we start to understand why our shopping centres are entertainment destinations. It's because they have to evolve themselves out of just selling goods quickly and saying, okay, this is a place you come to spend time, and it's your leisure time. And oh, by the way, you might do some shopping. But then it's interesting to see someone like Amazon actually opening real bricks and mortar shops now.
Yeah.
So I think and as you said, the interesting thing about him is he's not going to invest in a trend until he can identify how people are going to make a sustainable long-term profit out of that.
Okay, so how do I use what you learned from Warren Buffett in Omaha, Nebraska, to my advantage when it comes to issues around technology?
It's interesting to me that we constantly look at a business like Naspers, and it's something that all of us would talk about all the time.
Which this week announced it's opening an office in San Francisco, by the way.
And you'd say to yourself, how can that share price possibly carry on running as long as it has? And surely the floor is going to fall out of that business, and that business, if you think about it, it owns the Amazon of South Africa, and is doing incredibly well in a range of different businesses around the world. So it's kind of a play on many different aspects of this trend that Buffett's identified. So just for the first time, and I'm certainly not
punting Naspers.
I'm not punting Naspers. I think I'm still going to say I don't understand. I don't understand the business case, but suddenly maybe it's not such a crazy bet as many of us would think, because actually there might be more to it than that. And I think very often when you're making your investment calls, it's probably a good idea to take the Buffett approach. I always think back to the gold rush. I wasn't around, but the people that really made highly predictable money out of the gold rush were the people that sold the shovels. The people that sold the tools to the miners. So there were very few miners that actually made it big.
And there were others, Cecil John Rhodes, Alfred Byte, and others who waited on the sidelines until the rush was over and then consolidated what others had done. And we saw the creation then of De Beers and later Anglo-American and the conglomerates.
And then I think, for the first time in my life, I'm looking at someone like Amazon seriously. And the fact that Buffett won't buy it, that doesn't mean that there isn't a really good business case. But because it's become sort of an economic tidal wave that you have to consider, and I'm saying economic as opposed to just business. I mean, it is changing the way that the world is working. Then it must be something that you pay more attention to. Whereas something like an Uber, for example, or an Airbnb, it's very specific. It's very narrow in one or two fields. And I think Amazon is possibly more like the shovels than Uber is. So to me, that's something that I wouldn't have looked at before, and now certainly I am.
There we go, Warren Ingram. You're still glowing. You've still got the Buffett glow, and it's been 2 weeks since you went.
Yeah, and I've come back with such a positive outlook on life again, and that's largely down to just listening to all the things he's had to deal with in the last 40, 50 years, and I just think it puts our issues that we have here right now in context. This is just a moment in time.
Yeah, there we go. Warren Ingram. He's an evangelist. He's one of the 40,000 people who went and sat in a packed auditorium hanging on every word of Warren Buffett. Warren Ingram, all the way back from Omaha, with his lessons on what happened in Nebraska, looking particularly this week at Warren Buffett and his attitude to technology and technology investments. And thank you, Warren Ingram, for my pant.
My pleasure. Next time I'm going to get you a cap. Hi. Just come out of studio, and we're talking about Warren Buffett again, and this time his attitude to technology. In the IT bubble, he decided not to buy IT companies. He didn't understand them, and it worked out brilliantly because the IT bubble burst, as we all know. And now I find out that he owns nearly just over 8% of IBM, and he's talking about Amazon. What gives?
Yes, Warren. Yeah, it was in the late 90s, the dot-com era, that those famous words were spoken by Warren, where he said they don't buy tech companies. It was businesses they just didn't understand, so they stayed away. Of course, as you said, things have changed quite a bit now. They own quite a sizable chunk of IBM, but I think their basic investment principles remain the same. They back good management, and clearly the management team of IBM are superb. They've turned this business around over the last 20 years. It's a business that's moving into new markets, new technologies, and it's a business that's pumping some good cash flow. Which is being used for share buybacks at the same time creating shareholder value. So clearly they have seen value in IBM. Amazon's a different story. I think Warren and Charlie have a great admiration for Jeff and what he's doing with Amazon. It's a great business. He's not the fourth richest person in the world for nothing. And it's a business with a superb, strong moat, which is one of their principles. It's got a very, very powerful brand. It's a superb customer service, and increasingly building this powerful distribution network. So it's a great business. It's really disrupting the retail industry. And I think they admire that and they understand it. But will they buy it? It's trading on a forward PE of 130 odd. They still can't see the value in that.